Josh Carroll, Craig Dale currently running second and first. We are on board with Carroll, trying to catch Craig Dale, and looks like catching another of the Super Touring entries here. A little bit surprised picking up a Fox Body Mustang here in the middle of this one, James, but that's sort of the deal when you run a class like ST3, ST4, you're going to kind of be in the middle of a lot of different things. It's not just hot lapping track day kind of stuff that we got here. You're doing full-on racing in these cars.
Yeah, they did their best to keep everything separated, but yeah, sometimes even your best efforts, it just won't work. Thankfully, it didn't seem to mess everyone up too much. Everyone's still able to focus on their own race for the most part. Not a whole lot of tight and difficult corners here at this place. A lot of passing opportunity. Not really going to be stuck by someone, so really shouldn't mess with your flow and kind of get you off your game trying to deal with everyone. Although that right there is a little difficult.
Trying to stay on your game is the tough one. Especially, I mean, John Wynn broke a hub earlier in the qualifying session. He was able to get the car fixed. He hops in it to go out for the race, and it just won't crank over. It is ridiculously hot out in the desert here today. And quite frankly, that's something that's going to come into play for these guys.
Whoa! Someone, that was lock-up dust. I couldn't quite tell, but wow, that was a bit sketchy corner entry.
Yeah, just a little bit. The Insight on board for Danville, California's Josh Carroll. And let's take a look here. We'll pull up our... We talked about them a little bit here, but we'll pull up the weather conditions to kind of give you an idea of what's going on out here in the desert. Partly cloudy skies, 92 degrees is the ambient temperature. Feels like 92, every bit of it. Winds blowing out of the southwest at 9 miles per hour, and with not much humidity, it feels more like a convection oven than it does a racetrack here. But I'll tell you what, this battle is still really good between Craig Dale and Josh Carroll. I'm going to call that 3, maybe 4 car lengths. And we're only about a quarter of the way through this race.
Yeah, since he had that little incident on the corner entry, Josh has really been able to make up a lot of ground.
One of the neat things that these drivers have, and Josh Carroll is nice enough to actually give us a pair of feeds here today. One of them is they just put their cell phones up. They connect to us remotely that way. It's a great system. The other thing that Josh Carroll is able to give us is his full data feed from the onboard logger. So if we turn off the timing and scoring box here for just a minute, this is all the data that he pulls from the car. It puts up on screen, has the speedometer is up there as well. These drivers are...
Let me tell you.
Good.
I was going to say Josh is the real MVP for this, because this helps us do our job a lot better. It gives us a much better feel of what's going on and how everyone is running and how he's running. Like, this is incredibly helpful information for us to have, and that's more for us to pass on to you fine folks at home watching. Yeah,
there's a lot that's going on here. A couple of drivers that we do not have cameras on, a couple of cars that are not running that were on the entry list today. We could have as many as 8 cars in this race tomorrow. Patrick's Howe, his car was leaking a little bit of oil, was not going to be allowed out onto the racetrack. John Simon will flip over and pick up his view here very briefly. He's got not much going on around him. Currently about 6 seconds back of the next closest car in Super Touring. And this one, it's a battle for the race lead, so we'll stay with it. Oh, hold on to it, Josh, sliding a little wide. Kick the dust up.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about earlier, man, poor John Wynn, you can't help but feel for him. Like, the terrible, awful no good, very bad day. Like, anything that could go wrong went wrong for him today.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow's better for him and he can actually get out on track and mix it up with everyone.
Got to thank everybody that's watching on YouTube and on Twitch. We thank you very much YouTube and Facebook. Whether you're watching on the NRN Facebook page or on the Spec Corvette Series Facebook page, we appreciate y'all coming to hang out with us here. Man, you can hear those Nankang tires just absolutely squealing on Josh Carroll's machine. The gap is 1.3 seconds. As he starts to come around, once we see him cross the line, we'll kind of start to run you through what a lap feels like here at Arizona Motorsports Park. This really is, it's a tricky little layout, but with a very nice variety of corners that these drivers have to work their way through. The turn 1 entry is really important because you immediately go into a set of S's at turns 2, 3, and 4. You got to set up turn 2 as far left as you can in order to try to straighten out turn 3 a little bit, and then you can make the big exit out of turn number 4. Turn 5, which is where they are now, early entry, throttle can be applied early because there is a little bit of positive camber to that corner. But then you get to turn 6. It requires a late apex. You've got an apex almost at the end of the curbing on the inside and stay tracked left, opening up the entry into turn 7. Turn 8, basically not there because the drivers are focusing so hard on getting turn 9 right. You can't screw that one up. The cars are going to run out of the room on the left-hand side, and you got to be able to, you got to be in position to get the hammer down in a very big way. Same kind of deal when the drivers get to turns 10, 11. Whoa, big cloud!
Whoa, my goodness.
That was a big off for somebody.
Yeah, did he like fly off the track? Because like I saw a big plume of dust on the other side on the exit as Josh was going by.
Yeah, it looks like Craig Dale is going to be the car that's ahead of him. But that just absolutely puts the kibosh on the race for the lead. Depending on where you encounter that smoke, you're pretty wise to back down and just say, nope, I'm not playing with it. It does look like Craig Dale is still ahead of Josh Carroll, though.
Yeah, like, you got to experience what he was experiencing. Like, you could see anything. You can't take that chance, especially with the series that prides itself on no contact. You can't take the chance and just go full Days of Thunder, go full throttle and yell out, "I made it through, Harry!" You can't do that. You can't do that. You just have to just get off the gas and pray.
Yeah, that's the big thing here. You just have to be smart in how you handle these things. These cars are built by the drivers for the most part. You break it, you're fixing it yourself, and it's costing you piles and piles of cash to do that. Ooh, maybe a little bit of an off track. Let's see. I mean, you can hear Josh really not trying to push this car hard at all through those corners. There's really no need to make a big push at this point. Craig Dale has a 3 and change second lead. Hold on to second. Just don't junk the thing, and you're going to have a great points day out of it.
Yeah, like with everyone else's misfortune, like there's a lot to gain from this, and you don't want to push too hard and try to get something that may not be there and risk the huge advantage that you have.
Yeah, it just does not make sense as Josh Carroll over the line here to start another lap. John Simon's on board. We can flip over to here, but the video's a little bit, well, jerkier, I guess we'll say. This car, and actually he's also not giving us any audio as well, so we'll bring up Josh Carroll's audio back. So give you a little bit of ambient sound instead of just our yapping voices, but 5
Bit
seconds.
of a flip book race broadcast on John's.
Yeah, a little bit low on the frame rate here, but quite frankly, a lot of these places, they're out in the desert, and yes, you can get away with doing the cell phones at a lot of places, but there are some. Willow Springs was one where we just got absolutely no connectivity. Same deal for here at Arizona Motorsports Park. Barely get some 5G service, and it looks like the 4G is not real good out there either. But let's pick up Josh Carroll once again in the Insight on board. Craig Dale continues to hold on to the race lead, last time by the start-finish line. These drivers were 4.2 seconds apart, so a couple of tenths picked up by Craig Dale there that time, as we are just past the halfway point. David Holmes, John Simon, the other 4 cars that are running in the Spec Corvette class. They are currently 5th through 8th overall of all the cars that are on the racetrack, but again, that's not really surprising, or at least in Super Touring 3 anyway. That's not surprising because they did a standing start about a half a lap behind everybody else. Let's we'll flip over here, pick up John Simon's on board. He's getting close to the 71 of David Holmes. Those cars separated by 2.2 seconds last time by the start-finish line. It looks like the feeds from just about everybody are falling away on us here. There's the pickup back from Josh Carroll. It's a pretty decent battle between Holmes and Simon. I'm not sure which feed we'll give you guys here. We'll give you this one. Because Simon, quite frankly, it's only 1.2 seconds between Holmes and Simon. Good battle for the final spot on the podium. And the other big one, when you really start to think about these, James, this could have some pretty serious implications when you start thinking long term. Benefit from some drivers not being able to make the grid, some drivers not showing up that particular race meeting, and all of a sudden now John Simon, who thought he might have had, 6th, 7th, 8th place points, now he's battling for a podium.
Yeah. Dare we go full Rick Allen and start yelling about championship implication?
Not yet. Not quite yet.
But seriously though, yeah, like there's, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot to be gained. Like, these are the opportunities you're hoping for when you're running in the right around top 5. Is that you can get races like this where you can take advantage of some misfortune. It's not a great way of putting it, but yeah, like this is a great opportunity for some of these guys to get some really great results. Yeah, and you never know how that can impact the championship battle here as we get farther into the season.
Yeah, John Wynn is the guy who's really kicking himself with that car not being able to crank over. He entered this weekend only 13 points back of Mark LaCourte for the championship points lead. It was 107 to 94. Neither driver is going to score points here. The big winner could be John Simon this weekend. He was 39 points back of the leader. He's going to score a decent haul here. I think 14 points is what he's looking at. Taking a big bite out of that. He's going to pass Tony Jimerson for 3rd in the point standings. Josh Carroll stands to make up a bunch. He is currently 7th in points, sitting on 56. Craig Dale only at 35 markers. He's going to hit 55 and be mid-pack by the time this race is over, and they've still got another one coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, and you always have to take advantage of these opportunities when they come, because you never know. You'd be sitting in the last weekend of the season looking at the final standings and said, man, if only this happened, if only I was able to run this race better, to take advantage of this opportunity when I had it. You never want to be looking back on your season going, man, if only.
Sebastian Kinder is checking in the comments here, and I have to pull this up to verify this. But he is saying the shape of this racetrack reminds him of Mugello.
You know, he's not wrong. I do kind of see that.
Yeah, a little bit here.
Desert Mugello.
Yeah, I'm a Desert Mugello, yes. Yeah, now that I look at that a little bit, that's not the worst call you've ever made, Seb.
Yeah, like, this is a underrated little circuit. Like, not a whole lot of people know this track exists, but like, it's a little hidden gem right here in the desert.
That's a lot of these places. We get the United States gets knocked a little bit for the quality of racing circuits here, and we have the couple of obvious ones, as we have another big cloud off the side of the right-hand side of the racetrack. And Josh Carroll is catching Craig Dale in a very big way, but there are some absolute gems in places all over this country that you can build a car to a spec and get out there and absolutely tear it up, whether it's SCCA racing, NASA racing, one of the two, you're going to be able to go out and have a good time.
Yeah, like, there's so many incredible tracks in this country. Like, we're not Japan levels. Like, no country can really come close to the amazing circuits that Japan have, but I gotta say, we do come kind of close.
Let's see here. Got to figure out which one of these I want to go over here. There we go. Mark LaCourte checking in saying, killing me not to be there. Yes. Tough that we don't have you out here, Mark. And, well, you may still have the points lead at the end of the weekend, depending on what John Wynn is able to do in terms of repairs on that vehicle overnight. But James, already 22 and a half minutes into this thing. We say it already 22 and a half in, but there's still 7 minutes left to go. That is a lot of time. You're talking at least 3 laps to go here. If you're Josh Carroll, there is a lot of time to try to make up this ground on Craig Dale.
Yes, sir, and he's made up a lot of the ground. Like, this race is not over. This track is distinctly difficult. There's a lot of time that you could lose if you're off your game.
Well, now this is interesting. I just saw John Wynn pop up onto timing and scoring. If he's able to get a lap completed, I would think that earns him points. It's not going to be a lot, but it would be 13 points he would pick up for a 5th place finish. That would be enough to tie him at the top of the board with Mark LaCourte.
Every point matters, folks.
I don't think the Spec Corvette Series has a rule on percentage of the race completed. Now, obviously, John's not going out to earn 5th place points. He's going out to make sure all the repair work that they did on the hub of that car is good to go. But he is likely to score a lap here.
Sure, but you can pick up some points for your trouble. You know, nice little perk.
The gap up to 2.9 seconds between Craig Dale and Josh Carroll. You can just barely see Craig Dale out the front windscreen of Josh Carroll's machine. We'll slide over and pick up John Simon here. His battle, he has gotten around David Holmes, So John Simon moving himself up to third position, and he's got a 13.6 second gap on Holmes. I wonder if Holmes wasn't the car that we saw have a big off track. They're the second of the big off tracks. Now inside of 5 minutes remaining here at the Arizona Motorsports Park. Race number 2 will be coming up tomorrow afternoon. If you are on United States Eastern Daylight Time, that is scheduled for a 4:25 p.m. start. 1:25 local time. Let's see what the gap looks like now between Craig Dale and Josh Carroll. Looking like it's up to about 5.7 seconds. With basically about 2 laps to go. Man, cell phone signal really spotty out here. Which is, quite frankly, a little bit surprising. They're just outside, a little bit out, right, basically Goodyear, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, still within Maricopa County, but you are flat in the desert with nothing around.
Yeah, like, it's a really big undertaking to put this broadcast and put this show on out here. Honestly, I'm kind of amazed it's going as smoothly as it is.
How about John Wynn? As we are seeing checkered flags on timing and scoring, so that will be the end of this one. Craig Dale getting the win over Josh Carroll. John Simon, David Holmes, and John Wynn comes home 5th. And John Wynn put up one of the fastest laps in class at 1 minute 52.486. At least
wow.
this deep into the race. As the Spec Corvette guys make their way under the checkered flag, Craig Dale, Josh Carroll finishing about 2.2 seconds apart. Pick up John Simon let's see, just about to complete his lap. Then it will be, as we mentioned, David Holmes and John Wynn completing the 5-car field here this afternoon. Big win for Craig Dale. That's going to be huge for his championship hopes. With, quite frankly, what amounts to an interesting upcoming schedule. Next round, May 20th and 21st from Willow Springs. Heading back there, likely will not have a broadcast on that one, but we will do our best. Then July 1st and 2nd, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Salinas, California. Miller Motorsports Park, July 29th and 30th. Sonoma Raceway, August 19th and 20th. Buttonwillow Raceway, October 14th and 15th. And the Western Finals, December 2nd and 3rd from Chuckwalla Valley Raceway. Also coming up in just a couple of weeks, we've got a big one here for you fans on the National Racing Network. We're going eastbound and down, loaded up in trucking. East Coast and Southeast Championship race from Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia. My daughter is graduating college on May 6th, so we will not have a show that day. But May 7th, we will have the Spec Corvette round in conjunction with the Sports Car Club of America from VIR. I am excited to see that one. We mentioned it briefly. Let's show you what the point standings looked like heading here into the race weekend. Mark LaCourte had the 13-point lead over John Wynn, Tony Jimerson, John Simon, Darren Griffith, the top 5, AP Miranda, Josh Carroll, David Holmes, Kevin Jones, and Ole Thorderson are your top 10. As we mentioned, next race coming up May 20th and 21st from Willow Springs. We are going to do our best to get that one on the air, but Willow Springs is a dead zone. That is literally the middle of the California desert. But all in all, James, not a bad show here for this one. These guys, as always, put on a good show here in the Spec Corvette Series. At least this time, no contact. Seems like everybody is going to get their cars back into the paddock in one piece, and looking forward to hopefully seeing a handful of cars out here again tomorrow.
Yeah, like it was a pretty good race, all things considered. Like interesting battles, interesting action, a whole lot of dust kicked up. So yeah, I think that's pretty good considering all we were up against.
Yeah, it's always tough when you're talking about having to battle Mother Nature, the elements. There's quite frankly, there's a lot that goes into these. But with that, it is time for us to get the heck on out of here. Go enjoy yourselves this Saturday night. We'll be back here with you tomorrow afternoon from Arizona Motorsports Park for the Spec Corvette Series presented by Dan Kang Tires. For James Watson and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We will talk to you all tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night, everybody.